Well, hey, you boy, man, Mike, coming at you guys with another one, man. An update. Well, not much of an update. More so of a topic that I just want to, cover. Not a lot of news concerning the Atlanta Falcons, but this is something that I felt that I need to talk about. What's good, Justin? Um, I had to talk about this for the simple fact that, a lot of Falcons fans want to know what the hell is going on with the Vic Beasley situation. Thomas Dimitroff. Um, What's good? What's good, people? Everybody in the chat, man. What's good, man? Your boy, man, Mike out here with another one. It's a pretty good day here in Atlanta, man. Shit. Our bipolar ass weather. You never know if you're gonna get a hot day, a cold day, or hot day and cold day in the same damn day. So I'm sitting out here enjoying it, but want to talk about Vic Beasley and what the hell is going on with he and Thomas Dimitroff, Dan Quinn. These guys absolutely refuse to talk about anything concerning Vic Beasley, man. I don't know what that's all about, man. To be honest, man, this is not a good sign. This is not a good sign for Vic Beasley when you have this team avoiding any type, okay? They're avoiding any type of talk with Vic Beasley. And anytime that is a question, whether or not, with the Atlanta Falcons, they're kind of, this team is pretty transparent. Dan Quinn, Thomas Dimitroff, you know what you're going to get from these guys. And the fact that they have yet to really address any questions about Vic Beasley, man, it doesn't bode well for Vic Beasley. And like I said, I still believe that Vic Beasley has, what it takes to be a premier pass rusher with the Atlanta Falcons, especially when Dan Quinn is taking over as the defensive coordinator. He will be running the defense, so I think Dan Quinn knows how to use him properly, how to use most of these guys on the defense properly. But when you see that Thomas Dimitrov, whether it's in interviews, radio shows, this guy won't talk about anything Vic Beasley. He's letting it be known that Grady Jarrett and Julio Jones is his top priorities right now, man. So when I see this Vic Beasley not being talked about, being ignored, man, he has to be in his feelings, all right? If Vic Beasley is being ignored by the GM, this is not a good sign. He won't answer any questions. Vic Beasley is not a Twitter, a guy that's on social media a lot. But when he is, man, people are always going at him. At this point, I don't know what to expect from Vic Beasley, to be honest, man. Um, like I said before, I still am a big supporter of Vic Beasley, but when you have to put the series of events together, it just doesn't seem. It really doesn't look right. It goes back to when Vic Beasley was photographed at the end of a game, and I forget what it was. I believe it was the Cincinnati game. And I hate when people do that shit. I'm sorry, man. I really hate people. Just get the fucking phone and call the people. All right, just get people. Just and see, this is what live video is all about, man. All right, you never know what type of crap you're gonna get. You have no idea what type of crap you're gonna get. People out here blowing horns instead of using phones. I mean, we're in 2019 now. Use your damn phone. All right, you came to somebody's house. You came to someone's house. Make sure you call them. Okay, you don't have to sit outside and blow your horn all damn day. But it is what it is, man. This is a live video, man. Like I said before, man. You never know what you're gonna get on these live videos, man. Especially for me. They call me Mad Mike for a reason. But man, let me get back on top. To go back, well, you have to go back and look at the series of events from, I believe it was the Cincinnati game. It may have been the New Orleans game. When Vic Beasley was photographed standing on the side, standing in the tunnel. The game isn't over. That's not a good look. So for the Atlanta Falcons, to be totally ignoring him at this point, for me, it's already, etched in stone that he's not coming back for the Atlanta Falcons. I could be wrong. They could bring him in for that $12 million, and from that point on, they decide, if they get a guy in the draft or free agency to kind of, come in and be replace him at some point in time. I don't think Vic Beasley is in the long term. And like I said, I could be wrong, but the way things, the series of events, you go back to the tunnel incident, them bringing in Bruce Irvin, who ironically plays the exact same role uh, that Vic Beasley does for Atlanta. He played in Seattle. So when you look at him bringing in, Bruce Irvin and a series of events that happened before, Vic Beasley just, that's not a good look for you to be sitting in the tunnel. The game isn't over and you the first one off the field. Just doesn't bode well for me. Well, like I said before, man, um, the way Thomas Dimitroff is not answering questions about Vic Beasley, for me, that signifies he may be out in Atlanta. But I'm seeing Muhammad. I bet they're going to release Vic Beasley. No, that's not going to happen, okay? The Falcons are not going to release Vic Beasley. That would be the dumbest thing they could possibly do. Vic Beasley does have value, okay? I don't know where a lot of people get this notion that he is not a valuable piece, that he does not have talent. Like I said before, I continue to say this over and over again. Just because a guy isn't putting up 10 and 15 sacks every single season doesn't mean he's a bust, okay? It doesn't mean that he's a bust. It doesn't mean that, you draft a guy at 5, all right? You draft a guy at 5, you draft a guy at 8 or 15 or whatever it may be, okay? The guy has to live up to that spot, all right? That's what a lot of people are looking at players to live up to their draft spot. And this is the thing with Vic Beasley. We're looking at this guy to be a Khalil Mack. We look at him to be a Von Miller when he was never that to begin with. Von Miller was a special player all the way to college. Okay, Vic Beasley was one of those guys who transitioned away from tight end when he played at Clemson. Okay, he was a tight end at Clemson. He's always been a project player. So when you look at Vic Beasley, you have to look at for what he is, man. Vic Beasley will never be Khalil Mack. Vic Beasley will never be Von Miller, okay? So we can't just, look at this guy and say, okay, he's not putting up 10 sacks. He's not putting up 15 sacks like that, so he's a bust. Maybe he's just a role player, all right? And for that, Vic Beasley is what he is. I wouldn't necessarily pay him elite money to be a pass rusher. Get that somewhere else. It's just not here in Atlanta. So that's the conflict that we're having right now. This is what the Falcons are dealing with now. Vic Beasley, for what he is worth on the market, the Falcons are not getting that value. They're not getting that production. And this is the reason why you have to put Beasley on the trade market, because he's not living up to the value that you expect from a guy that had, led the league in sacks. So when you look at Vic Beasley, he's not a bust, okay? He's just not an elite player. And there's nothing wrong with not being an elite player. We're so used to, guys, if a guy doesn't live up to our expectations, fans' expectations, or even analysts' expectations, we look at a guy and look at his talent. Oh, this guy can run a 4.4. He's fast. See how fast, how quick he can get around the defense, the tackle, and offensive lineman and whatnot. We look at it and we see him, how fast and how athletically gifted he is. We want to label him a bust because he's not getting the production that we expect him to do. Well, maybe Vic Beasley was never that good to begin with. You ever think about that? Maybe he was never that good to begin with. Maybe the Falcons just drafted him for his athleticism. Maybe they drafted him for his potential. This is what you're getting when you get out of the draft. The NFL draft, you draft guys based off their athletic ability, and what you think they could be. Nothing is guaranteed in the NFL draft, okay? You go back to the NBA. All right, everyone. Okay, when everyone, I can go back to, and this might drive some people a little crazy. Like, what the hell are you bringing up this for? When you go back to look at guys like Greg Oden. All right, Greg Oden was supposed to be the next great thing, the next best thing. Okay, he was supposed to be that. Guess what? It never panned out, and this is the way the draft is constructed. When you look at Jake Long, all right, Jake Long, with the Miami Dolphins. He was supposed to be so great. He was supposed to be the next Jonathan Ogden. But guess what? Injuries happened, and it didn't go. It didn't turn out the way they expected. So when you look at the draft, everything in the draft is a crapshoot. All right, it's a crap shot. You just never know what you're gonna get from people. When you drafted Michael Vick, yeah, Michael Vick was supposed to be the next big thing, and he was great with his time here. We thought he would develop as a quarterback, but guess what? Michael Vick never developed as a quarterback. All right, even in his time in Atlanta, he never threw for 3,000 yards. Okay, so when we look at players and what we think they're going to be, they don't necessarily turn out to be there. So it doesn't mean that these guys are bust. It's just they don't live up to expectations. So, this is the reason why I'm so I'm so hesitant on saying a guy is a bust. Okay, I'm one of those guys who don't believe in the bust. All right, some guys, there are certain guys that when you look at what you pay them, and when they are paid, and I get this all the time on this channel. Okay, Desmond Trufant, he signed a $60 million contract to be a shutdown corner. Desmond Trufant was signed a $60 million contract because of market value, okay? He was the best corner on this team. So why would you pay a guy $60 million? Because he was the best corner on his team. It's not necessarily that the Falcons signed him to be a shutdown corner, because Desmond Trufant was never a shutdown corner to begin with. His rookie year, he led the Falcons secondary in penalties. So when you look at players, their value, the money, and their talent, all right, does it all come together? Everything came together for Desmond Trufant to be paid that $60 million. Desmond Trufant is still one of the least penalized cornerbacks in the NFL, okay? Why? It's because his technique is impeccable. When you look at Desmond Trufant, his technique is impeccable. There is not many corners in the league that is better technically sound than Desmond Trufant, all right? His hands may be questionable. Well, questionable questionable is a little bit far, but this guy, sorry about that, man. Yeah, I've been having issues with connections all freaking day. But I'm sorry if you guys, if it's choppy or whatnot. But Desmond Trufant is one of those guys, like I said, a lot, just far-fetched. No, Desmond Trufant was never going to be a shutdown corner because he was never that in college. Why would you expect him to be a shutdown corner when he was not a shutdown corner in college? He's always been the top corner on his team. So that's what Desmond Trufant was paid to be, the best corner on our team. No one can deny that Desmond Trufant is the best corner on this team. So the Falcons have to play one of the better corners in the league, whether it's top 5, whether he's top 10 or even top 15, it doesn't matter. He's getting paid to be a top corner. This is what the Falcons paid for him. So when you look at his pay, when you look at how the Falcons, if his play doesn't add up to what the Falcons are paying him, then the Falcons will look to restructure his contract. So this is why I say all the time, you can't always look at guys, look at their production, look at their pay, because pay and production are two separate concepts. You have to look at it in a grand scheme of things. Okay, like I said before, with Vic Beasley, the pay will command somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 to $20 million for a pass rusher like Vic Beasley. You know, with our team, we don't need a Vic Beasley, to pay him 15 to $20 million somewhere in that neighborhood, because the market for a pass rusher like Vic Beasley is somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to $20 million a year. And with the numbers that Vic Beasley putting up, the Falcons cannot and will not sign him to a long-term contract. So, you know, this is what I say all the time. Do not get money and play and value mixed up. You have to look at everything in the grand scheme of things. All right. So Vic Beasley, the way he is, what he's producing for this Atlanta Falcons team, he is not worth 15 to $20 million. Therefore, you have to go either back in the draft, and put most of, you can go back in the draft a guy, maybe in the first or second round. Most likely they will look in the second round to try to find Vic Beasley replacement. Until then, they will sign Bruce Irvin for at least 2 years. I expect the Falcons to offer Bruce Irvin a contract, and he will most definitely be the offseason target, because, like I said before, the way Thomas Dimitroff is not answering questions about Vic Beasley, I fully expect Vic Beasley to be traded, or perhaps, they sign that fifth-year option for $12 million, and he has to put up numbers. If he doesn't put up numbers, those are the only two things, the only two ways that Vic Beasley is going to come back with the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons either trade Vic Beasley, or he's going to come back here for 1 year, one more year, to try to prove his worth. But, the way things are constructed right now, I just don't think Vic Beasley would be back with Atlanta, especially for the long term. I just can't see that happening. So, all right, let's get to these questions, man. Let's get to the questions. Maybe they plan on taking, Ian most definitely would be taking a defensive end. I don't think they would. I think, if anything, if they take a defensive end, it would be a guy at the size of Tack McKinley, somewhere in the neighborhood of 250, 260, a bit bigger than Vic Beasley, who can hold up in base formation, so they don't have to get bullied. Okay, the Falcons were bullied up front this year. All right, make no mistake about it. And I had a question, which I intend to make a video later on today, is about why did the Falcons not sign Dontari Poe, because they got bullied. These guys got bullied up front, and the Falcons need bigger players. They need guys who can stop the run and not get pushed around. Because if you go back to that Cleveland Browns game, even the Pittsburgh Steelers game, this team got absolutely bullied, man. These guys got bullied. They got pushed around, even with the monster in the middle, like Grady Jarrett. This team got absolutely destroyed. So I expect them to re-sign Jack Crawford, that trash defensive tackle, the guy that they spent $5 million on to do absolutely nothing. I believe it was 5 or 7 million. But Terrell McClain, they brought him in to do absolutely nothing. It was a total waste of money and space. But, like I said before, they need to address defensive tackle. All right? Before they even address anything Vic Beasley, they have to address defensive tackle. They have to get Grady Jarrett a playmate beside him, because I think Dejan Sanat, I think he will be a guy that will develop. But until then, you can't depend on just Dejan Sanat just right now. All right, you can't depend on Dejan Sanat. He's a young player. He's still learning. And he went to a small, South Florida, he went to a small school. So when you look at it, man, he's still learning. And like I said before, Jack Crawford, you get Dejan Sanat, Jack Crawford, and draft either a guy like Dexter Lawrence, who I think the Falcons should look at someone in the neighbor, somewhere in the second and third round, second to fourth rounds. I think um, his drug uh, testing positive for drug may be a little discourage the Falcons because they don't want him to end up like Jalen Collins. They don't want to go down that road again. So when you look at the Falcons, they have to be careful with Dexter Lawrence. I think he fits well with the Falcons' want and need. Christian Wilkins is another guy that I absolutely love. I love him, what he could bring to the Falcons. The Falcons, you have a guy like that who can come in and rush the passer, be a compliment to Dimitroff and Grady Jarrett. I like it. I absolutely love it. So when you look at it, man, the Falcons, they have Dimitroff, they have Grady Jarrett. Jack Crawford most likely will be back. I expect them to be pretty damn good for the most part. They signed a couple of guys here and there to be to be a compliment to Grady Jarrett in free agency, but for the most part, the pieces are there. They just need a couple of guys here and there to be there. The pretty much have a rotation because the rotation for the Falcons this year up front was just lackluster, man. It was absolutely lackluster, and they just need pieces. Muhammad, King Moses, David Wright. What's up, my man? PSN. PSN, what's good, man? Will put on Brian Poole. From what I'm hearing, for what I've seen personally, I think the tender may be the same as, but I doubt that he put that on Brian Poole. For what I'm seeing, a second round tender for Brian Poole. But don't quote me on that. That's basically what I've seen. But if the Falcons don't put a tender on Brian Poole and they allow him to go to free agency and re-sign him for a lesser deal than the tender that they want to put on him, I can see him coming back because the Falcons need depth. You can never have too many defensive backs on the team. He does provide a Dan Quinn. What Dan Quinn absolutely loves out of his defenders, to have the ability to play multiple positions. That's why you drafted a guy like DeMonte Kaiser. DeMonte Kaiser can also play corner. DeMonte Kaiser can play both safety positions. And Brian Poole as well. Brian Poole, he started when he was, in college. Dan Quinn recruited him. He can play strong safety, free safety, and a little bit of corner. So I expect Brian Poole to be back with the Atlanta Falcons, but anything over $4 million for Brian Poole to be a rotational player, I don't think that will happen. So maybe it was to make a guess on what tender they will put on him. Maybe a fourth round tender on Brian Poole. Someone would definitely find some value and try to make Brian Poole a safety, because if you ask me, I think he's a better safety than he is a corner. He can play corner, but I think he's better suited to play safety. And David Wright, I've said this over and over again. Y'all gonna get tired of me saying this shit over and over again. You are going to get tired of me saying that there are no shutdown corners in the NFL. Okay? Zero. The rules do not permit for shutdown corners. You can't touch anyone. You can't bump. I mean, you rarely see teams bump in bump coverage. Why? Because the rules. The rules allow the offense to have the advantage. All right, the Patriots they tear up the lead. Why? Because of the rules. All they do is sit. All the Patriots do, and if you go watch Patriots film, these guys don't allow you to bump them. Why? And how they do that? They put you in trips and they run pick routes. This is how New England gets away. Okay, this is how New England gets away with those short, and forgive me for saying that, these short, slow, white wide receivers. And I don't want that to sound racist, but this is how they get away with not paying wide receivers because of the rules. The rules permit that defender cannot touch these guys within a certain within what five within 5 yards, and for a receiver, you line up in trips, and these guys use those pick plays. There's nothing you can do as a defender. You can't touch them. You can't do anything. So this is the reason why people say all the time, why in the hell? Why does how does Tom Brady throw for that many yards every single year? All right, why? Because they take advantage of the rules. That pick play, they run that pick play over and over again. All right, you look at Rob Gronkowski all the time, every single play when he goes deep. Rob Gronkowski is one of those guys who's in the middle of everything. He runs and he blocks. All right, the guy's already huge. So what they do with the Patriots is they just use a lot of trip formations. All right, they're constantly in 4 and 5 wide receivers and using Rob Gronkowski as that guy to set the picks for other wide receivers, and they just sit in spot. This is why Tom Brady throws 5 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, and before you know it, this guy has 300 yards because of those little dink plays. They're taking advantage of the rules, and this is why I say there is no such thing as a shutdown corner anymore. There will never be another shutdown corners until these rules change in the NFL, where defenders, preferably defensive backs, can touch and be physical with wide receivers. The days of a shutdown corner, Deion Sanders, Ty Law, Darrelle Reeves, those type of guys, Champ Bailey, these guys are absolutely dead. Shutdown corner is a thing of the past until they allow these guys to hit. I mean, safety, as a free safety, a strong safety like Keanu O'Neal, you can't. You have to change your game. You can't be physical. You can't be physical. You can't hit guys. So how do you expect Desmond Trufant to be a shutdown corner if he can't touch a guy? How do you expect Robert Alford? I mean, like I said, Robert Alford, he is what he is. But how do you expect him to be to play up to a respectable level if these guys can't touch him? Wide receivers have the advantage. The wide receivers have the advantage. So, like I said before, man, we can't expect guys to play, especially corners, to play at an elite level, to be shut down corners if they can't touch the receivers. It's impossible. And yes, David, there's a lot of offensive linemen, especially a lot of edge rushers in this draft, man. So, looking at Vic Beasley, and the talent pool, especially an edge rusher in this draft, you can get a guy that I like. Well, there's a lot of guys in this draft that I like as far as edge rushers, but when you look at Vic Beasley and his value with the team now, I just don't think he has a ton of value for this team. Yeah, he's still talented, but what the pay he is expected to get, I don't think the Falcons want to pay that. So, he's easy trade bait at this point. Clear that the Falcons are trying to free up space. Okay, they are trying to free up space. You can go on the Atlanta Falcons YouTube page and the interview Thomas Dimitroff. He says it loud and clear. The Falcons are trying to free up space. So guys like Vic Beasley, even Devondre Campbell, Mohamed Sanu, these guys are trying to free up space. So you're going to see a lot of cuts. Expect a cut from guys like Brooks Reed. Falcons should be looking for another quarterback. I don't think you should pay Matt Schaub $5 million just to sit on the bench. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's happened. I don't think that's going to happen. Having Matt Schaub here for $5 to $7 million. I don't think that. I don't think the Falcons do that. So expect a ton of turnover in free agency. Guys restructuring contracts. So just expect change for the Atlanta Falcons, especially when Dan Quinn is going to be the defensive coordinator. Things are going to get changed. We already saw a drastic change in the coaching staff, so expect that to happen as well. And not going to be a huge splash. Okay, we're not going to spend $40 million on one player. We're going to spend $40 million on multiple players that fit our needs. So expect that from the Atlanta Falcons, man. And David Wright has been saying this over and over. We need this. We need to sign Sheldon Richardson, man. Look, if Sheldon Richardson can come at a reasonable price, I'm all good. But I'm not, especially when you have guys like Christian Wilkins and Jeffrey Simmons, who I don't think the Falcons will draft. If it is behind him, I don't expect the Falcons to sign a guy like a Sheldon Richardson for a bunch of money. Anything over, $8 million for a guy like Richardson, you can draft guys that can play alongside Grady Jarrett, who can, pretty much do that at a lesser price. I don't think you go out and spend a ton of money on a defensive tackle that's going to give you the same exact production. Grady Jarrett is a monster. I do not expect Grady Jarrett to go anywhere. So any one of you Saints fans or Giants fans or whoever damn fan, y'all expecting Grady Jarrett to hit free agency, y'all got another thing coming. That dog, he's a Falcon for life, just like his pops. All right, he's going nowhere. All right, Grady Jarrett will be a Falcon. Grady Jarrett will be an Atlanta Falcon. All right, he's going to get paid, whether or not it's Aaron Donald type money. I don't think so. I think it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of, somewhere $70 to $80 million for Grady Jarrett for about 5 years. I think that's reasonable, but $100 million, I don't think that'll happen. So when you look at Grady Jarrett, like I said before, man, the guy is a special player, and you have to keep special players, and you got to pay those special players. So Grady Jarrett is not going anywhere anytime soon. Um, Falcons have two fourth round picks, so Christian Wilkins in the first round. I like that, David. And like I said, if Dexter Lawrence is sitting there still in the fourth round, you gotta get him. You gotta get him. You gotta bring him in. You got to. You have to take a chance on a guy like that. He's too big and too talented to just sit. Even though he's had the issue, and I don't know if it was something with him taking it was or any type of PEDs or whatnot. I don't know what it is. Not really familiar with it, but I don't think it's a problem. But it is an asterisk on his resume right now. I think it'll be it'll cost him to be drafted somewhere in the third round, third or fourth rounds. Daniel Woodell. If Bruce Irvin re-signed, do you think we let Beasley walk? If the Falcons re-sign Bruce Irvin, oh shit. Yeah, sorry about that. But if the Falcons re-sign, if the Falcons re-sign Bruce Irvin, you can pretty much guarantee that Vic Beasley. I won't say guarantee, because I think he has at least another year or so I think Vic Beasley has at least another year, if Dan Quinn wants to bring him back for a year to try to, you know, see what he can provide to the team. Like, honestly, I think he has some value with the Falcons, but at this moment, man, um, I don't think I don't think you could ignore. I don't think you could just completely at this point count Vic Beasley out. DeMonte Casey, Ricardo Allen, those guys, that's the plan that they have. Those guys will alternate between that third corner and free safety. We still have to see if not Vic Beasley, but DeMonte Casey and Ricardo Allen, how he recovers from his Achilles injury. Um, I don't. I know there's been a lot of speculation of whether or not the Falcons would draft a corner. I've seen a number of mock draft where they have the Falcons drafting a corner that just makes absolutely no sense to me. Especially with Isaiah Oliver looming in the background. I just don't see that happening. Um, I just can't see that happening, especially Desmond Trufant. Desmond Trufant is here to stay for at least the next 2 years, so I don't see the Falcons drafting a corner. Just don't see that happening, man. That's more so speculation to see Desmond Trufant not being, or the Falcons drafting a corner. I don't think that happens. I mean, Keanu Neal doesn't have to really say that, to be honest. Keanu Neal doesn't have to say that he's not changing his game. He doesn't need to change his game. He can't change his game. He's a hard hitter. That's just what Keanu Neal is. He is a hitter. That's what he does. He knocks people out. So he can't change his game. Keanu Neal is here to stay. The style of play that he's definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. Justin Roach, Matt Schaub is horrible. He's stuck. He has to go. I don't know about sucks, but he's not Matt Schaub of old. He's not the Matt Schaub of old, but you never know how the NFL season can go. Players get hurt every season. Fortunately for us, and Matt Ryan has pretty much his entire career. So, you just need that you need that backup quarterback at any point during the game. Matt Ryan could go out. That's just anybody. Julio Jones, Devontae Freeman. It doesn't matter. This is the football. This is the NFL. Teams are, the teams. Players can get hurt at any given time, so everyone knows that. But you have to have a backup. And Matt Schaub, I don't know if a guy you pay him $7 million to be a backup. I don't know if you do that again, especially when the Falcons are looking to cut salary. I don't see the Falcons paying Matt Schaub $7 million to be a Matt Ryan's backup. The Sports Fury, what's good? Falcons Nation, David Wright, Justin Roach, Ezekiel King, 808 Border. What's good, man? How do you feel if he moves back to linebacker position? Keanu Neal never played linebacker. I'm assuming that you're saying that him playing linebacker. I don't think it'll be far out of the ordinary. I mean, he pretty much plays linebacker for the Falcons. Strong safety in this system, in this scheme. Keanu Neal is essentially a linebacker. So moving him to linebacker is just, more so. It's more so just the name. To be honest, it's just the name. Keanu Neal, he averages even at strong safety in the Falcons scheme. He is a linebacker. He gets someone in the neighborhood of 100 and 120 tackles each year from your strong safety position. So, that's just be more so of the name of the position um, than anything. Keanu Neal is essentially a linebacker in this scheme. So I don't think that changes anything. Ryan Schrader should also be cut. We should sign free agent Jawan James. Um, Ryan Schrader did not look good. But he looked horrible. All right, let's just call a spade a spade. Ryan Schrader looked absolutely horrible. But when you look at how he was used, and I've looked at several stats. When you look at the Atlanta Falcons, their attempts on first downs, their rushing attempts on first downs were near the bottom of the league. All right, their rushing attempts on first down were near the bottom of the league. So that pretty much on every single down, defenses know that the Falcons are going to pass. Anytime you have that, all right, that puts pressure, added pressure on guys who aren't already in pass protection. That put more added pressure on him. And Ryan Schrader, he's one of those guys that was, that's called a spade a spade. Steve Sarkisian didn't help him out at all. Falcons near the bottom of the league in rush first down rushing attempts. Bottom of the league in rushing attempts on first down. So when you put that, you bring back a guy like Ryan Schrader, and you go more to a balanced attack for the Atlanta Falcons, man. I think that's something you have to consider. You have to consider that, especially with Ryan Schrader, and see if you can get at least one more year out of him. I don't think they cut him this year, but like I said, anything can happen at this point. Anything can happen at this point where you see Ryan Schrader be cut, or he can possibly stay with the team. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Vic Beasley lacks the alpha dog mentality. I wouldn't say that. I just think Vic Beasley just isn't the guy that we expect. Now, I said this earlier on this live that sometimes our expectations for players are just unrealistic. All right, you can't expect You can't expect a frog to be a pit bull. Okay, you can't expect a damn. All right, that's just not who he is. Vic Beasley is not an alpha pump. He's not an alpha dog, and he's not a alpha. He doesn't have that Tack McKinley, that switch where he just, you look at Vic Beasley, you see a guy that just shows up, do his job, and that's what he is. Wrong with that. He's just not who he is. You put him in positions where he can succeed, and that's what the Falcons have to do. But I'm not going to pay $15-20 million for a guy to be a pass rush specialist. That's the dilemma that we have with Vic Beasley. He's just the way his production, his lack of production as a pass rusher, doesn't equate to paying him $15-20 million, and that's why the Falcons most likely have to, trade him or put him in a position where he can succeed and pay him somewhere in the neighborhood of $35-40 million. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Falcons should draft a quarterback in the 5th round. I don't know about that. I don't know about drafting a quarterback in the 5th round. That's still a little bit too early for me. The Falcons have Matt Ryan. All right, they can go get a quarterback that is somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 million to sign to be a quality backup for Matt Ryan in case something happens. But a rookie quarterback with Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, all these weapons. I don't know about that. I don't know about drafting a quarterback. I think you can get a quality quarterback. I mean, look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady was a 7th round pick. All right, there's a ton of guys that weren't even drafted, and these guys are pretty good starters, and I mean they're pretty good backup players in the league right now. So I don't think you draft. The Falcons are in no uh, hurry to draft a quarterback. Um, 5th round, they have to address the defensive side of the ball. All right, and all the picks, they have 9 picks right now. All those picks have to go to addressing depth issues on the offensive line and defensive line. So drafting a quarterback is not a top priority right now. James Bryans, yeah, man. They have, like I said, this is how the league is turning, where you have a lot of strong safeties playing linebackers, because it's more of a passing league. You don't you're gonna have guys that are going to pretty much be um, smaller. And you look at Deion Jones, he's fits that role. Deion Jones is the size of safeties now, and he's doing a terrific job. So the NFL is going towards having linebackers that can do multiple things, and these guys are smaller. So the Falcons expect the Falcons to do exactly that, man. Play a lot of defensive backs, and a lot of defensive backs can tackle and play and do multiple things. They can do multiple things. So I expect the Falcons to do exactly that, man. Now, come on, Ado. All linemen. Look, man, I think the Falcons will go defensive line, offensive line, and they'll sprinkle in maybe a corner and a linebacker. I think you sprinkle in a linebacker and a cornerback in the draft. Um, DJ Ty, what's good, man? C. Glenn, Falcon Z. Thoughts on Eric Saubert? Thoughts on Eric Saubert? Eric Saubert. Eric Saubert is one of those guys who were not used to uh, their full potential. And let's be honest about Steve Sarkisian. I thought he was pretty decent, but obviously I was wrong about that. The dude was just horrible. I look at the numbers, I look at the stats, and Steve Sarkisian play calling was just questionable. I mean, all he knew was pass the damn ball. He didn't know how to get guys lined up. He didn't know what to do with these guys at all. So when you look at the play calling, you have Mike Mularkey, you have Dirk Cutter. Those guys know how to get tight ends the ball. So I expect Eric Sauber uh, to be more have more opportunities next year. I expect Eric Sauber to be, because he has that athletic. This guy's an athlete. Eric Sauber can play, but he just need opportunities. We saw that kind of during the end of the season where Eric Sauber, he had a couple of a couple of catches here and there, but he had a couple of catches here and there, and I thought he played pretty well. But the Falcons, you have to get you have to have a player, and you have to have a backup tight end. And Eric Sauber is the guy that fits perfectly in our scheme. And at this point, the Falcons have to get the Falcons have to address that third tight end, and Eric Sauber may be that second or third. I really like Eric Sauber, but Austin Hooper is that dude, man. He has a chip on his shoulder. He going at fans. He going at players. I mean, he going at everybody right now. I love that fire Austin Hooper is playing with, but he got to continue. He can't revert back to that 2017 season. They can't revert back to that season. So, yeah, man. See, Glenn, I like Hooper, but the thing Saba got more talent though. Eric Saba is more athletically gifted, but Austin Hooper has the body, the size, the foot, the hands. Austin Hooper is more complete than Eric Saba. When we look at athlete, Eric Saba is an athlete. The Falcons sought him out. They wanted Eric Saba. That guy can catch. He is an athlete, but Austin Hooper is a complete tight end. That right there. That dude is the real deal, man. Austin Hooper is the real freaking deal. Devontae needs to rest up and stay off that foot. I don't know about the foot. I think he probably Devontae Freeman. Um, he had the knee issue and he had surgery on his groin, so I don't know about the foot injury. That's something new to me. If it is, I don't know about the foot injury. I know he had the knee and groin injuries. Um, but I think Devontae Freeman will be back. I saw something interesting on Twitter for the last couple of games. He and Patrick DeMarco has been going back and forth. Patrick DeMarco obviously he wants to come back to the Falcons. I don't know if that happens because the Falcons still have what's his name? Ricky Ortiz. Falcons still have Ricky Ortiz, so maybe they bring back Patrick DeMarco if he is free. Obviously, he is free. Um, Bring him back to be that fullback for Devontae Freeman and Ito Smith, or we don't know if Tevin Coleman is coming back. So, maybe that happens. But when you look at the Falcons, man, I don't think it's something um, that to worry about with Devontae Freeman. I think Devontae Freeman needed this season off, to be honest. The Falcons had to shut him down. He's, to rush him back, to continue sending him out, and he's not healthy. The Falcons needed him to be healthy, and this is the perfect time for him to get himself together this year. To have a good offseason, stay off that knee, groin surgery. Look, I expect Freeman, he was a key. All right? Look, Devontae Freeman is a Pro Bowl running back. And we saw this year with Tevin Coleman that the Falcons' offense wasn't the same. We need Devontae Freeman healthy. The Falcons need Devontae Freeman healthy, all right? Without a doubt. So you get a Devontae Freeman, Calvin Ridley, Mohamed Sanu, Julio Jones, Austin Hooper. Look, the Falcons' offense is right back to where it was in 2016. These guys have an elite offense, okay? All you have to do now is just really continue doing what they're doing and, protect Matt Ryan. It's all about protecting Matt Ryan, getting that running game going and protecting Matt Ryan. I think more so than protecting Matt Ryan, and you probably say I'm crazy as hell for even saying this, but I think most important for this Falcons offense, even more so than the offensive line, we have to establish the running game. All right? Matt Ryan is at his best when he has the running game. His history has shown throughout his entire career when the Falcons have a running game, the Falcons have an elite offense. It goes back in his days with Michael Turner when he had, I think he rushed for 1,700 yards. He rushed for 1,700 yards. Matt Ryan was spectacular, had an excellent game, and this was Mike Mularkey. 2016, Devontae Freeman had 1,000 yards, and Tevin Coleman, I think he rushed for 500 or 700 yards. Falcons, they rushed for like, I know it was 1,500 plus. And they combined for over 20 touchdowns, Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman with Kyle Shanahan's offense coordinator. So when you look at the Falcons' offense, they have to establish the running game. They have to establish the running game if this team is going to get back to elite status. Here are some DNs that was that's a good fit for the Falcons. Charles, hold up, I don't know how the hell you said he's a crazy name. Charles Ominbu, I guess that's from Texas, 6'6", 275. Yeah, that he's a good size. I think he's so in the same size as a he's the same size as Michael Bennett. Falcons need guys that fix Jack Crawford roles in his defense. So that's why I expect Jack Crawford to be back and them to draft a guy somewhere in the neighborhood of 6'6", 275, somewhere in that neighborhood who can play both in base and even possibly go inside and play some three tech, 5 tech, those positions. So um, I like him. Carl Granderson is another guy I like also. I saw some tape on him. Um, mhm. Charles Odingbo. Baller beat. Baller beat. Right? Do you think that Cutter is the right person, or should the Falcons wait at Gary Kubiak? Look, I'm tired of talking about Gary Kubiak. All right, I'm tired of Gary Kubiak. I don't want to talk about Gary Kubiak. I don't want to talk about anything about Denver. Uh, Screw Denver. Screw John Elway. He tried to screw us and ended up screwing himself. All right, so screw John Elway. Screw Gary Kubiak for allowing him to hold him back. And look, maybe it turns out for the best for us. Maybe it turns out for the best for the Falcons uh, to have Dirk Cutter, Mike Mularkey, and Greg Knapp on the offense. Maybe it turns out best for us. I don't know. But I do know that the Falcons offense will be um, an all around offense. They won't just stick to one style of offense for the Falcons. And David, that's an excellent point. That's something that I've said over and over again. Eric Stalbert, a lot of players on offense wasn't used to the best of their ability, man. Steve Sarkisian didn't do. He just didn't do his job, man. Let's call a spade a spade. He didn't do his job. He didn't maximize players' ability. I mean, you had a weapon in Tevin Coleman, who is a weapon as a receiver, and he just didn't use him. I don't know why you would not use Tevin Coleman as a receiver. All right, he's one of those backs who can do multiple things, and he just didn't do it. Edo Smith is another guy who is a terrific guy. He can catch. Just look at his highlights from Mississippi, not Mississippi State. Is it Mississippi State? I'm drawing a blank, but Edo Smith, he's another one of those guys that did not was not used properly by Steve Sarkisian, man. Oh, no problem, T. Glenn, for tuning in, man. Like I said, I truly appreciate everybody's support, man. Look, man, they always trying to get anything from like the Patriots. That's all they do. That's all the Patriots do. They try to take and steal everybody's talent. They don't want to pay anyone, so they take everyone's talent and use it for themselves. and they've had a 15-year run because one, and I've been called a hater for saying this over and over again, but the Patriots play in one of the worst divisions in football. That's 6 wins automatically. 6 wins automatically with those sorry teams. Like who? Miami hasn't been crap in a long time. The Jets haven't been crap in over 10 years. All right, the Buffalo Bills are crap. 6 easy wins. 6 easy wins. The only team in the AFC that has been close to a major contender to knock the Patriots off has been Pittsburgh. That's it. That's it. That's it. Other than Pittsburgh, you can maybe say the Chiefs, but for the most part, that's it. Anything else in the AFC. And like I said, I've been called a hater. I've been called a hater by Patriots fans. I've been called a hater by everyone because everybody want to suck off Tom Brady. Look, Tom Brady is all that, but I can tell you one thing, that Tom Brady has been incredibly fortunate. All right, he's been fortunate to play in a sorry division. He doesn't play in a division where there's competition. All right, there's no competition in that division with the Patriots. Absolutely none. And like I said before, when you look at the AFC, other than Pittsburgh and maybe the Chiefs, who's going to knock off the Patriots? Damn sure ain't Jacksonville. They had a 1-year run. They were close. And now that team is right back to where they were. Right back to where they were. Ghost Peppers. Every time I see that damn name, every time I see that name, I crack, man. Look, I have no problem with bringing back Patrick DeMarco. He adds it at that toughness to the offense that the Falcons need. And I'm about to get my sister in here. But yeah, man, bringing back Patrick DeMarco to this team is something that could happen. He obviously want to play with the Falcons, and Falcons need to get back to that old offense. They need to stop passing the ball on 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, 2nd and 1. Get tough, get tough like they used to do. Draft a big back, like everyone remember T.J. Duckett, Bob Christian, those guys. The Falcons need to get tough, and all this prissy stuff in the NFL, that crap got to change, man. I mean, it's becoming a joke, even in the NBA. I can't watch the NBA because all these everybody want to turn around and shoot 3-pointers and, flop. I mean, I don't know what sports is turned into. It's trash, I can tell you that much. David Wright, Mike Mularkey with the O-line and the run game. Greg Knapp with the quarterback position, Cutter receivers. Actually, Cutter will work with the receivers, but he and Morris will be handling the passing game. So it'll be a more collaborative effort with those guys. Falcons have a ton of offense help on the offense this year. They got Falcons have 3 former offensive coordinators on their staff. Okay, Mike Mularkey, Dirk Cutter, and Greg Knapp. Greg Knapp was Michael Vick's offensive coordinator. So they know what they're doing on offense. So I'm not worried about the offense. The offense is going to be straight. But yeah, I hate watching basketball. I get tired of looking at LeBron. I mean, LeBron crying, him screwing up the league, Now he done got into Anthony Davis. These guys have the same agent. And that, like Charles Barkley said the other day, it's collusion. It's collusion. Who? Boston just traded Kyrie. Jesus Christ. Man, everybody trying to look. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyrie end up with LeBron in LA. Like this the thing, and that's why I can't look at basketball anymore because everybody want to be friends. Everybody want to smile and be friends. It's just not the same anymore, man. But Matt Ryan has been talking with Patrick DeMarco and him coming back. Um, I've heard that as well. I wouldn't mind. Falcons need that element. Like Patrick DeMarco only left because the Falcons weren't paying $15 million to a fullback. I don't care who you are. I'm not paying $15 million to a fullback. That ain't happening. So he can. I hope that $15 million worth it in Buffalo, because I'm not giving it to you. No, if it's not Hawks basketball, I don't want to see it. If it ain't Hawks basketball, if it ain't Steph Curry, all right, I don't want to watch it. I don't really care about NBA. I'm tired of this weak crap. I mean, you got 7-footers out here shooting 3-pointers. I mean, you got the only big man in the NBA right now, and even Embiid shoot too many damn jumpers. I mean, these guys are 7 foot tall, and they're out here shooting threes like